Have you ever found it curious that in the lines that sales representatives represent, whether they're conglomerate lines or they're independent lines, it seems that they're able to keep their customers on board regardless of which lines they have within their line card? It's a curious question. The first response may be, well, we're good, and that's probably true. If you have a good organization, you're probably keeping your customers because of that. But do you really know why that's the case? And more importantly, how to leverage that into securing even more business? It's people. It's all about people. Back in 2012, Harvard Business Review, in an article teaching sales, quoted some statistics from a group called the Challey Group. They discovered that 39% of business-to-business buyers select a vendor according to the skills of the salesperson rather than price, quality, or service features. Interestingly enough, a few years later in Chief Executive Magazine of 2015, August of 2015, the same numbers are quoted. Doesn't say the source, but obviously it has to be the same source. It says salesperson effectiveness accounts for 39% of customers' buying decisions and is the single most important factor. People. Interestingly, when you take the salesperson out of the equation and replace him or her with marketing and e-commerce channels and try and do studies of why people buy what they buy, the statistical buying patterns go kind of crazy. Depends on the region, depends on the person, depends on the product, etc. It just goes on and on. Well, enter the Challey Group, formerly HR Challey. Who are these people? Well, Challey Group Worldwide has a research and talent analytics organization that was used by the U.S. Department of Justice back in 1973 to set a new standard and methodology for hiring law enforcement officers. And it went in league with new federal laws that were coming out onto the nation as far as requirements for law enforcement, the personality types, the way they needed to react. And so they needed to make sure that they had the right people slotted in those positions. Well, Challey didn't just do work for the government. They were allowed to go on beyond that. And even though a lot of what they did was government related, U.S. Air Force, Defense Department, NASA, and such, many corporate clients came on board once the government work was done. And what this has allowed them to do is to develop immense blocks of data on people, not just a few hundred, but tens of thousands of interviews. The identification and research detail that they have for both business to business and business to consumer has over 400 studies, 400,000 individuals assessed, 80,000 business decision makers, and by now it's even higher than that. This just goes on and on as far as the volume of information that Challey has developed in understanding why people buy what they buy. And what it boils down to is this. It backs up the original survey that they did back in 1999 on why business-to-business relationships buy what they buy. In analyzing 15,000 business customers, the answer was they buy what they buy because of the competency of the salesperson who calls on them. 22% of the paradigm is the product solution. In other words, is the product they're being offered solve their problems? 21% of the decision-making paradigm is quality, and only 18% related to price. Now, when we break these numbers down and look at them a little closer, there's some very strong and bold factors that are revealed here. First of all, 82% of value is based on the perceptions of the company and its product, not the price. That's interesting. Business-to-business buyers on perceptions of the company, but more importantly, 61% of the decision has nothing to do with price or quality. It really has to do with only two factors: the individual calling on them, and is the product they're being offered the right product to solve their problems. So 61% of the decision has nothing to do with price or quality. Reveals that quality and knowledge of the salesperson is the more influencing element on sales than a specific brand or product. So whatever your lines are that you represent or companies are that you sell, whether they're a conglomerate, an independent, or whatever, and you ask yourself the question why, you answer the question by saying people. Well-trained, talented people will always win out in a sales environment. And here at Consultation Dynamics, we're working to make you even better by helping you understand the factors that make your business successful.